When will these summer-like temperatures end? And a historic impact to a new coffee shop. A church considers leaving its congregation, and delayed healing from a nearly 135-year-old conflict in South Dakota. All of these stories will be uncovered on this episode of Inside the Newsroom. Welcome to the Digital Desk, everyone. I'm Maddie Paul, and inside the Newsroom, we bring you the trending stories of the KELOLAND area. And my favorite part is we bring in our Newsroom staff members to talk about these stories that you see every day on our newscasts and online at KELOLAND.com. I do have to start with a disclaimer. Give me a little credit today because you may hear me sniffle a lot. I think I got a little cold going on, a little allergy or something as I'm adjusting to fall weather, I guess. Even though it's summer-like temperatures, it's still fall weather outside. It's something my body's getting a little adjusted to. So if I sniffle, I'm sorry. But we still got a lot to get through for Inside the Newsroom today. So let's get started with our first trending story. Last week, Secretary of Defense, now called Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, announced on Facebook that 20 soldiers who received the Medal of Honor for their action in 1890 at Wounded Knee will keep their awards. The news has been met with mixed reactions around the country, but here in South Dakota, the decision has a deeper impact, especially among Native Americans. Tom Hansen took a closer look.
They are described as a battle. Historical records show the U.S. Army killed an estimated 200 to 300 Native Americans, including women and children. According to historians, this happened while attempting to disarm Native American fighters who had already surrendered. Today, on the south side of the Pine Ridge Reservation, a memorial marks the spot of the Wounded Knee Massacre. In February of 2021, the South Dakota State Senate unanimously adopted a resolution calling on Congress to investigate and possibly rescind the Medals of Honor. Former state lawmaker Troy Heinert led the effort.
I was really proud of the testimony that the people that came to testify for it. A lot of these were relatives of people who were lost at Wounded Knee. You could sense the pain in their heart and how important this was to them.
The request from South Dakota went to Washington, D.C., but failed in Congress. However, last summer,
I spent a brief 41 years wearing a U.S. Army uniform.
Former Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin ordered a review of the awarding of the medals. And now Secretary of War Pete Hegseth has called the soldiers brave and citing a report that the medals were justly awarded.
Under my direction, we're making it clear without hesitation that the soldiers who fought in the Battle of Wounded Knee in 1890 will keep their medals. And we're making it clear that they deserve those medals. This decision is now final, and their place in our nation's history is no longer up for debate.
Heinert says while disappointing, he doubts Hegseth's decision will be the final word on the 135-year-old matter.
If we have a chance to educate more people about, the history of what happened to Native people in this country, I think we have to use it. And, maybe someday we'll get there and those medals will be rescinded and that healing can begin from that event.
And Tom Hansen joins us now at the Digital Desk to talk more about this important story. Tom, you had to contextualize a lot of history for this piece, from 1890 to now. But, you also showed why we're telling this story now. So from your perspective, how did you find yourself balancing historic context with narrative storytelling?
Yeah. This is one of those stories where people have opinions on both sides. But I think here in South Dakota, we're a little more sensitive to what really happened there. And historians will say this was a massacre, this wasn't a battle. Think about it, it was 1890. I mean, something bad happened and, cover-ups do happen.
Right.
Or revisions do happen, it's one of those things where, if you've been out to the site, which I have, I've actually been out there a couple times. As you and I have talked before, I used to work in Rapid City, and so I did a lot of stories out on the Pine Ridge Reservation. And it really is a moving place to go out there and think about what happened,
Mm-hmm. Did you find yourself thinking about people. That, like as you were putting the story together?
I did.
Remembering?
Absolutely, I did. And talking with Troy Heinert too, he talked about how people still feel the pain, which, they do. So trying to balance the story was not hard, just because there's people on both sides. So Secretary Hegseth has his opinion on what happened, but I don't think he understands. So to put this in context, in the year before, in 2021, right, the South Dakota Senate sent this resolution off to Congress saying, hey, look at this. The year before, that same type of thing failed in South Dakota. But Troy Heinert says when they had people come in and talk to the senators and tell their stories about their family members who had been killed, all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, but the lawmakers understood. I think they understood what was going on. And so it was a unanimous decision to send this off to Congress. And I don't think that people around other parts of the country really have that same context that that our senators got in 2021.
That's a great point. And you end this story in a very fascinating way. It feels like this history is not over yet. You almost leave the story open-ended. It's very much alive still, especially when you ended with saying, I'm going to quote you, Heinert doubts Hegseth's decision will be the final word on the 135-year-old matter. Why did you end it this way?
Because it's common sense that they've been trying to get this changed for decades. And just because one Secretary of Defense says, nope, this is it, this is the final word, that's not going to stop these people from trying to get to the truth, or, that's just not going to stop. It's common sense.
What was your goal for the story? Did you just want to display the facts, find the reaction, compare the past to the present? What did you want?
I wanted to hear from someone like Troy Heinert, who has family members, in the Native American community. He's Native American, half Native American, and I just wanted to hear from them. I wanted to hear their perspective, because we'd already heard from Secretary of War, and we heard his perspective, and I wanted to get the South Dakota side.
Is there anything else you'd like viewers to know about this story, Tom?
It was one of those things that it happened so long ago, and so it's easy to sweep it under the rug and just say, just let it be. But it still means something to a lot of people here in South Dakota.
Right, so, the impact still lingers.
Absolutely.
And we heard that.
Absolutely.
Tom, thank you so much for sharing your details here at the Digital Desk. And everyone, stick around. We still have a lot to get through on Inside the Newsroom today. Up next, we're talking about how First Lutheran Church in Sioux Falls is considering to leave ELCA. Stay with us. Our reporter is joining us next after the break. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. The First Lutheran Church in Sioux Falls is in the process of leaving the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. Looking into this situation is our digital reporter, Gracie Terrell. Gracie, to start off with, this article came out yesterday, and I think we should try to make something really clear for viewers, as I've saw some Facebook comments. They're considering to leave, right? They haven't made a final decision yet?
Yep. They are considering to leave. They've said that this is a process that they've kind of been in for a few months now, and then that first vote just happened on Sunday after their church service at noon. And then according to the First Lutheran Church Constitution, there is to be 2 votes if they're going to leave the ELCA, and that is to be 90 days after the original one. That would be about December 28th, but in a statement from the FLC, they will not do that second vote until 2026. So, when people get back from their holidays and everything.
Understood. So they need 2 votes total. What happened in this first vote that happened this past Sunday?
Yeah, so there were about 530 ballots went out, and 360 of them did vote to leave. So that was that 2/3 majority that they needed. So then they will, go forward with that second vote here in a few months into the next year. So they made that vote and are in the process then of considering to leave the ELCA.
When I was reading through your article yesterday, Gracie, I saw that there was a 177-page presentation that was attached that really examined the FLC relationship with ELCA. And going through that was included from FLC too. So you looked through this for your own story. And so my question for you is, what kind of stood out to you for this story from that large presentation?
Yeah, so that was like 177 pages. It was on their website. I have it linked in my story as well if people would like to go and read that since it is long. So I kind of broke some things down in it. And I wasn't able to speak in a full interview with anybody from the FLC. I just got a statement from them. So this was kind of really what I was going off of in terms of, their decision as to why they were leaving the church. And part of those included, wanting to have full control over their constitution and their assets. They claim that there's just more mandates coming down from the ELCA that are making that kind of sticky situation for them. And then they also wanted to be able to control the pastor's free speech. So to be able to say, social and political things, in public, in the pulpit, that might not necessarily align with what the ELCA's teachings are. So that's what they claim in that presentation for some of the reasons as to why they are leaving. And then that 360 vote that they just had this past weekend kind of, is pushing them then in the direction of leaving the church. But, we'll see come the new year.
Still to come on Inside the Newsroom, a coffee shop is shining a light on Low Tree Corner. Want to know what this means? Well, stick around for Inside the Newsroom. Our reporter is joining us next with more information after the break. And welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. A legendary cottonwood tree in Moody County is living on through a new business. Summer Rottershot takes us inside the coffee shop near Egan. Just east of I-29 on Highway 34, you'll find a historical marker for the lone tree.
In 1869, a survey was done for the highway, and a land surveyor left a hole from a stake, and basically a cotton seed was planted in that hole, and then a tree grew from it, basically. So it became a historical mark because it was in the center of the highway.
There was a teacher named Emma Clancy, and I believe it was 12 or 18 school children that she taught there. They had to find their way there in the middle of a blizzard, and back in the day, they didn't have road signs, street lights, that kind of thing. So they used the cottonwood tree as the beacon, as kind of, hey, this is where we go left and head down towards the school.
While the tree is no longer there, there's a new business on the corner called Lone Tree Coffee.
In the last, just year and a half, really, we've decided that we were going to finally do something with the place. The original plan was ice cream, but we figured that was a little risky, so we would try coffee first. Coffee, everybody loves coffee.
While the business isn't related to anything with trees, the duo wanted to name the shop after the popular poplar.
It was a no-brainer, really, the history of this place has and what it means to the older generations in this community. It didn't seem right to call it anything else.
While the tree was a beacon for the community, they hope their business has the same effect for the historic tree.
Well, I think not having the tree, the physical tree, standing here anymore, if people don't know about it and you don't stop to actually read the historical marker, you're not going to know about it. So having a coffee shop here that brings people in, hopefully they'll start asking questions like, why are you called Lone Tree Corner? And we can share the story a little bit more about what used to exist here.
And Summer Rottershot joins us now at the digital desk to talk more about this story. Summer, you barely speak in this story. It's almost all given to your interviewees. They're doing most of the talking. They're telling the story. Was that intentional?
Well, my family, first off, would think it's a miracle that I wasn't talking much. I'm just going to throw it out there because I know they're thinking it. But it sort of is intentional. As a journalist, not everybody thinks this way, but I sort of think we're like professional storytellers. And when you're reading a book, you don't really always want to hear from the narrator, especially when the people in the story can tell that story so much better than you. So I'm there to help piece together, okay, where's the missing links? How do we get to the next part of what these people are saying? But honestly, the less you hear from me, probably the better.
Oh,
I'm not the one living this story, you know? Like, they're the ones living this. They're the ones that are locals. They're the ones that know about this tree. They're the ones that are doing the coffee shop. And so I'll help you get from point A to point B, but I'm gonna let other people do the talking as much as possible.
And I loved that you did that too, because there was the personal connections with the teacher, and then figuring out, what are we going to build here? Is it going to be ice cream, moving into coffee? That was all really fun to listen to and watch. Something else that was kind of fun to watch is that the tree is obviously not there anymore, you know, so it must have been very hard to not have that visual. So did you and your photojournalist kind of have a game plan about what to do for visuals?
Yeah, so bless the photojournalist that I was working with, because I didn't give them much to work with. Thankfully, I did know that we had they just walked by, so they were chuckling at that because they know they didn't have much to work with. Thankfully, you know, we had the historical marker, as you can see right there. You know, at first when I heard about this story, I was contemplating going to the historical museum because parts of the tree are there. However, the time allotment didn't really work out, and it didn't really, sometimes it wouldn't really add to go showing you the tree that's in a museum. So yeah, we worked with what we had. I sort of also tried to write to what we have. So, you know, I introduced the highway that it's on so we can show the highway. And then I talk about, I don't talk about the tree. So, you know, I let the people talk about the tree so that we can see their faces, but I talk about what we do have. So I'm like, oh, we have the historical marker. So that's why you see a historical marker, why you see the highway when we introduce the building, is because those are the things you can see. So you actually, maybe a little bit, but you won't hear me talk too much about the tree. I'll talk about the things that you're seeing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I love these little, this is what Inside the Newsroom is all about. Just hearing about stuff like this. I'm really excited about this. And, you know, as you were putting the story together, what was something that interested you the most?
I love history. I love, and I know, it's weird.
You're getting so giddy about it. I love it, actually.
I feel like also our viewers like history. You know, I feel like South Dakota has such a deep history, and I feel like there's so many people who are connected to that history that when you're able to hear about it, because I remember one of the first Eye on KELOLANDs I ever did was about this 6-man football team and how they still hold like a national record for winning so many, or their coach holds it. But people loved it. People love history. And I think when we're able to highlight it and then also bring it in with like this new contemporary aspect, because we were able to talk about this tree, but it wasn't just a story about a tree. It's a story about a tree and how that inspired this coffee shop to name itself after the tree, and how they're trying to keep that little corner alive where this tree stood for so many years and act as a beacon for a community. I can't imagine, you know, like, I'm trying to think, what beacons do we have in Sioux Falls? And I'm sure there are some, you know, like in Wartown. But, you know, it's like that was the towns, like that was their thing, you know? And so something that's able to highlight that. And like I said, keep some of that history alive. Because if we don't talk about history, then you might find it in a book.
Exactly. Where's it going to go?
Exactly.
It goes on through storytelling, literally.
Yep.
I just love that. You know, Tom was just on earlier in the show, too, kind of talking about the same thing, you know, leaving an open end to a story that he created. And I feel like you're kind of convincing me that this is a little bit open-ended now, too, because we have this whole entire history to unravel with the coffee shop now. And that's exciting. I'm sure you're like clicking with Guy about that, you history nerd. Now.
I'm like, hey guys, keep my number, because if you can do something cool again, like I said, to expand on that and like, okay, we showed you what the history was, what they are now. Hopefully we can follow up in the future.
Summer, thank you so much for being here and talking about these details. This was a lot of fun. And everyone stick around. We're going to be finding out, when will these summer-like temperatures end? Let's check in with Scott Munt after this break. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Inside the Newsroom. We have to wrap up the show, but of course, we have to do it in a very special way, right? You know, I am a fan of summer. We all know this. If you watch Inside the Newsroom or anything that I'm a part of, you know that I just love summer the best. And you know, I'm feeling pretty happy, Scott, because my summer energy is just not going anywhere right now.
Anywhere.
It's staying. Another one. It's going to stay forever. That's how I feel, at least. So, like, it feels
forever.
It feels more like summer now than it did in
during
the summer. Yes. It was almost like, well, summer was pretty nice. Like, it wasn't, I was just expecting more bugs this summer, but now we're getting the bugs.
This will be our 10th day with above average high temperatures today. Yeah. It'll spill over into early October, and then it will change a little as we go through the day on Sunday, maybe even a little cooler come Monday. Monday may end up being below average.
I did see that because, context for viewers and for you, Scott.
Okay.
I was in Minnesota this past weekend, like northern Minnesota, and it was
You travel
nice.
like all over.
Thank
Minnesota,
I'm
Iowa,
everywhere.
South Dakota, and
The
then
Midwest. Call me a Midwest Maddie because I will go everywhere. I've been trying to. That's like been a goal for myself this year.
You're doing pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I'm checking those boxes for sure. But let me
Do
get
you
to
have
my
a map
context.
and the pins that you put on for each location you've been at?
You know what? This is a secret. No, I don't have one for myself, but that is my go-to Christmas gift for people is getting them like a map of the U.S. that they can like scratch out like what states that they've been at.
Okay.
And then if they're an international traveler, I give them like a bigger one so they can like scratch out which countries they've been to. So that's my little hack. If you guys need Christmas idea gifts, I know we're not there yet, but it's almost October, so then we have to start thinking about it.
But those decorations are up in the stores, aren't they?
They are, or like the candies. I always get excited about that.
Yeah.
Wait, let me talk about, my context.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did we get off track?
Maybe. Who cares? So I was in northern Minnesota this weekend, and it was like 80 degrees there. I was near Brainerd, just so people have an idea. I was at a lake near Brainerd, so that's pretty north, right? And it was just like my haven, honestly, because like I just needed that temperature so bad. But then I come back to Sioux Falls on Monday, and I'm looking at the weather for this week, and I'm like, oh, we are set. We are good to go. But the next week, I'm sweating a little, not because it's going to be hot, but because I think my warm temperatures will finally be going away.
We'll start next week on the low end, and then I think as we go through the week, we'll go back up. And then let's not talk about that second weekend of October.
Why?
Because I don't want you to be upset. Started on a high note, we'll leave it there. But you got that stern look on your face.
Is this something I'm going to find out on whether or not today?
You can. You certainly can. Talked a little bit about that second weekend of October. I'm just going to leave it there. Okay? You'll have to watch whether or not. There's that
Tomorrow
look
for
again.
Inside the Newsroom, all I'll be doing is reacting to your whether or not from today.
So what you can do is you can bring up that video and we can listen to it, and then you just go, grr, grr.
The smiles will be gone.
Right.
No
Steam coming out
smiles.
of the ears.
Oh my gosh.
Face turning red.
Where's the Maddie meter at, Scott?
We have to get that thing
Yeah,
back out.
got to get that back once the summer goes
So you had a good weekend?
I loved my weekend. I had a great time.
Good,
No,
good.
you were traveling around too. You weren't even
did.
around.
Yep, I went back to Illinois, saw some family.
Good.
So that's always good to see. Saw the parents, saw my brother, spent some time with them, went golfing, and watched football. So yeah, it ended up being a nice weekend.
I watched football too.
And how's your team doing?
I haven't
That's
checked
right.
in
You got
3
that-
weeks.
See, and that's the reason why I don't do fantasy. Is because, for me, it would probably end up taking too much time, and then I have other things that I would like to get done. So that fantasy stuff, I stay away from because I know that's what will end up happening is I will end up spending too much time with it. I don't want to do that.
I just want to win. I'm so competitive. You
just
know?
want to win, but you haven't checked in 3 weeks.
Because I'm not winning.
You don't even know.
I know I'm not winning. I'll check every once in a while, and it gives you like little predictions about how you'll do for the week, and I'm like,
Okay.
no, we're not even close to being good to go. But I did watch the Vikings game this weekend.
That early game.
That was an early game.
We'll do it again Sunday.
This Sunday.
We'll do it again. Yep.
I did not stay up for the Packers game, and I'm kind of glad I didn't because I
Ended
heard
in
that
a
was
tie.
kind of a bust.
40-40.
Yeah, I forget that NFL doesn't have like the double overtime. Like that's just a college thing, right?
Oh, it's more. They go until they're done. Until somebody wins.
See, look at me learning, everyone. I'm such a football girly. Travis has his headphones on, so he knows like
He's
it's
busy
okay.
working.
He's busy actually doing work while we're yapping about anything and everything.
Yeah. So what else is going on? They had Monday off. Came back today, just like I did.
I mean, you and I are just back at the digital desk, which is fun. Was it weird coming back, having to do all this again?
Honestly, I think that I ended up doing better than I thought I would do.
I love that.
You know, sometimes when you're gone for a while, you kind of like, okay, now you have to get back into a routine.
Yeah.
And Brian being gone this morning and me coming back since I was gone Thursday through Monday, it's like, okay, it's going to be a little slow. I get back into the routine of everything. But no, I think I just jumped right in it.
I feel the same way.
Did okay.
I love pressing my buttons. I'm doing what I can.
Okay.
It's the best. I love being here at the digital desk. I think it's just so much fun. And we always have something to give on KELOLAND Plus. Everybody can watch our shows live when it goes up, or there's always the on-demand option, which I love. You don't even have to watch these shows. You can watch news clips. You can watch weather clips. You can watch KELOLAND Living. There's just so much to do. And so that is what I am proud of. I keep sniffling because I.
What is going on over there?
I don't know. I don't even have allergies.
Maybe good we got, we need a barrier maybe.
6 feet apart. Get the arms out. Start doing this. All right, Scott, we're out of time. So is there any last minute thoughts you want to give for our viewers other than watch weather or not?
Well, there's tomorrow. I can come back tomorrow maybe.
Oh, yeah. We're going to react to whatever you have for the second weekend of October. So can't wait for that.
Oh, you'll be doing this.
I'll be doing that. Oh.
Gotta stay warm.
Should I bring the coat? Okay, I'll bring the coat. I have a feeling I'm going to need the coat.
Not for tomorrow. Don't need a coat tomorrow. Don't need a coat Thursday.
Okay.
Maybe record highs on Friday.
Oh, okay. This is dance.
Okay, we'll stop
here.
there.
We'll do the dance music for that one. Ooh, dance music. You don't like that? Okay, fine. No, dance
I think
music.
you're the only one who can hear it.
DJ MP. That's what we did on Boredom Busters. Anyway, okay. Get out of here, Scott. Thank you for being here. Appreciate
You are welcome.
Welcome back to the digital desk. And that's all the time that we have for Inside the Newsroom today. I had a lot of fun. Thank you for bearing with my sniffling. Hopefully this will go away by tomorrow. But there's always trending stories to get to on Inside the Newsroom. And there's always Newsroom staff members to bring in to talk about those stories. So thank you all for watching. And until next time, have a great day, everyone.